Sharnga has finally arrived in the TCG in Battles of Legend Monsters Revenge, and this card is everything Blackwing wanted and then some. It's a very simple card for bird standards, only having two effects. It can special summon itself once per turn if a monster with 2,000 or more attack is on the field. It can banish itself from grave as a quick effect to pop a face-up card while you control a Blackwing Synchro. Both these effects are extremely good. Obviously, the Dryden effect is a great addition to the bird end board, giving the deck a clean out to problematic floodgates, as well as a way to blank continuous or field spells without burning our Hot Red Abyss activation. But the part of this card that's really important is that summoning addition. Blackwing is blessed with an expansive suite of free special summons, but most of them have something holding them back from being worth including. Bora and Chris are awkward because their attack stat is too high to be searched, and they're non-tuners, meaning that it doesn't really fix the issue that we have playing through Interruption of not having enough tuners on field. Gale is awkward because of its level. Level 3 isn't really what Blackwing wants. The Synchro 7 pool is really middling, and so's the Synchro 9 pool. Obviously, Hot Red is good, but you're never going to be able to make it with Gale because of that non-tuner requirement that it has. And there's more examples of this. Sharnga has literally none of these issues. It's a level 2 tuner with a low enough attack stat that even Vata or Harmattan can find it with Whirlwind, and it doesn't actually need a Blackwing name on field to come out. This gives birds a clear path out of the trickiest situation it'll find itself in, which is a lack of names. Historically, the easiest way to beat birds is to remove their bodies before they can start taking advantage of their free specials and resolve their Whirlwind. Now that's not really as much of an option because of Sharnga being able to start committing and threatening boards either before or after the opponent has started burning their removal. Sharnga being off the field interaction also allows it to be used in a similar vein to Tiny Spirit Vishuddha, forcing unprofitable early negation because we can chain block almost all the effects we need to resolve, and the new bread and butter combo has Bria Storm Foolish Sharnga early. It isn't hard to see how Blackwing's ability to go second has seriously improved. Sharnga also makes it infinitely easier to play through the best time to Nibiru against Blackwings, well, setting aside end of main, which is on 5. The BNB does dissuade Nibiru on 5 because of the Zephyros in grave and the soft once per turn Feather Whirlwind on field, but players with enough matchup knowledge will know that the only real way to play through that is to draw an extender that is also a tuner or represents a tuner, and that's pretty much exactly a copy of Chinook, because we've already burned our free special summon on the Vata earlier in the combo to get to the Blackwing Dragon. Because of this, we would either have to play really middling free special summons that are tuners like Gale, or we would just have to hold the L if our opponent actually does know to nib on 5. Now that's not really a case because we have a secondary tuner that can be summoned for free, and also because it's so accessible, if you draw any of your early search targets, you can just grab it early and know that you're completely safe. Now that we have a second level 2 tuner, it's just so easy to play through Nibiru on 5. Sharnga just does everything. Enough of me rambling, let me show you some combos. For the first combo we'll be showing how the Simoon 1.5 card BNB has changed. Because it has changed. Sharnga and Dissipator are so good and so worth going out of your way for that this has altered the structure of the combo in a significant enough way. As always, it's just Simoon and a Banish. We're going to start off like usual, Simoon banishing Simoon to set Whirlwind and normal summon itself. That's going to trade the Whirlwind for Sudri. Then we'll normal Sudri. Sudri is going to be Chainlink 1, Whirlwind Chainlink 2. We're going to grab Vata and Shamal and pitch Shamal for Feather Whirlwind. We're going to special the Vata and activate Vata's effect for Chinook and Zephyros. Then we're going to Feather Whirlwind back the Vata. Here, that was the 5th summon, but we have Zephyros in grave and Feather Whirlwind on field to summon it with, so we can reasonably assume our opponent will nib there, unless they have the Soul Read that we haven't drawn any extenders. We're going to Synchro Summon to Bria Storm as Synchro 6, and from here we are going to activate Bria Storm to Foolish, and then Chain Block it with Shamal to add back Sudri. The goal of this is to get Bria Storm into rotation as soon as possible, so if they hold the Nibiru for after this Feather Whirlwind, we'll still have the materials for at minimum a tax dragon. No matter how long they hold it, we're going to have a tax dragon at least. So we're going to add back Sudri, a counter goes on Blackwing Dragon, and we're going to mill Shamal. Then we're going to reset the Whirlwind with Zephyros, and we'll make Dissipator using the level 2 Berea Storm and the Blackwing Dragon. We're going to go ahead and Feather Whirlwind back the Vata and make Nothung. Nothung's going to burn for 800 and then allow us to extra normal Sudri. We're going to do the same chain as before, this time grabbing Orochi and Twin Shadow. Then we'll Dissipator to summon back Shamal and make Full Armor Master. We'll tribute off Sudri for a Phantom Glimmer token, and then make Blackwing Dragon, Special Orochi, and go into Hot Red Abyss, banish for the Tax Dragon, set the Twin Shadow, and pass. Now, this Hot Red Abyss, if you want to, you can search something different with your Black Whirlwind search on the second summon, and you can just make Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, but I much prefer having Hot Red Abyss just because it's able to prevent you from losing to evenly matched, which is a serious issue with a board as wide as this, because really it's only one spell and trap negate, right? I mean, obviously we have Sharnga engraved, but that's not a negate unless it's a continuous spell or trap, and anybody that's ever MST'd an evenly will know just how much of a mistake that is. Also, when we were banishing for the Tax Dragon, it's important to banish the Blackwing Dragon that was special summoned properly, and not the one that was summoned off of Vata. People will sooner or later be on Charmers again, and being able to steal that Blackwing Dragon from you and cash out on the Assault Dragon that you have is really, really dangerous. This is a very small optimization, but it is one that will come up in at least one game in your lifetime. And that's why it's important to remember. When our opponent has started committing to the board and, put in the resources to out our Full Armor Master, our Dissipator, our Abyss, and, I don't know, maybe our Tax Dragon, but later in their turn, we're going to Twin Shadow for a second Full Armor Master, putting back a copy of Berea Storm and a copy of Zephyros. Normally, you would want to put back Sudri, so you have a higher chance of drawing it off the top. However, the reason why we're not putting Sudri back into the deck is because we're going to be adding it back to hand with Shamal the Sandstorm from our graveyard. So we're going to, on the Full Armor Master Synchro Summon, trigger Feather Whirlwind to summon back a Chinook, which is an Imperm on field, and add Sudri back to our hand, which is a 1-card starter on the Crackback. Also, while we have run out of our Blackwing Dragons, making the Sudri 1-card a lot worse, Dissipator is able to shuffle back this special summon properly Blackwing Dragon, allowing us to recycle our resources from the banish pile. And even if we don't have to use the Dissipator, we can just summon it back with Dissipator and go from there. It's really just such an incredible card. It gives us so much more of a grind game. I have considered cutting down to one Blackwing Dragon or cutting down like a Berea Storm or something because of Dissipator being able to recycle it, but I just don't feel like that's good enough to justify. I think that while Dissipator is a very powerful card, I feel like the risk of running out of Blackwing Dragons, of Berea Storms, of really anything is just too great to afford, because really those two cards are the lifeblood of the deck. Anyway, this is the end board. It's 2 towers, a pop and or banish, as well as follow-up, a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss to negate, 700 per monster effect, a layer of protection, an Imperm, a quick effect pop from off the field, and because Chinook is also extra Foolish Burial, we're going to be sending Berea Storm off this Chinook, which means that in our grave will be a Blackwing Dragon and a Berea Storm, allowing us on the follow-up to banish both for another Tax Dragon if need be, so we can easily rebuild our board from there. Pretty fucking solid. Our next combo is just the Sudri 1 card. This isn't actually something that's changed much, if at all. However, it is still very important. I really can't stress enough how important it is to know this combo because it comes up a lot. So we're going to start off by normal summoning Sudri and activating the effect. Sudri is going to grab Vata, which will special summon itself, and then send the usual mills for Blackwing Dragon, which we will now tribute off for a Phantom Glimmer token. We're going to bounce the Sudri for Zephyros, and then go into a Nafung, which will allow us, after burning for 800, to extra normal summon the Sudri. Sudri is going to be grabbing Twin Shadow, which will put back Zephyros and the level 2 Tuner Vata for Berea Storm, milling a copy of Shamal, which will, once we synchro summon Full Armor Master, allow us to add Chinook back to our hand. Then we just make a Tax Dragon. That's a Towers, 700 per burn damage, and then a per monster effect, rather, 700 burn damage per monster effect. Words are hard. And then after 4 monster effects, a quick effect nuke, as well as an imperm from the hand, which is really good. It's really good. It's really, really, really good. Now, here's an example of what I was talking about earlier with Nibiru on 5. All we need is Simoon, a Banish, and, well, let's just say in this hypothetical we've drawn Vata. This could also be Sudri. This could also be even Sharnga itself. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that we draw is that we can afford to use one of our whirlwind searches on Vata, or on either on Sharnga. Words are very, very difficult. Anyways, we're going to go through like normal. Here we're going to add Sharnga because we already have Vata. Then we're going to pitch small, Feather Whirlwind, summon Vata, summon number 4's Blackwing Dragon, trigger Feather Whirlwind, summon the Vata back, and our opponent nibs before we can make our Synchro 6. That sucks, but we can live with it. We're going to special Sharnga and then bounce Feather Whirlwind for Zephyrus, then reactivate Feather Whirlwind. Here we're going to go into nothing. Nothing's going to burn for 800, and we're going to add back to our hand Sudri the Phantom Glimmer. Now we're going to extra normal the Sudri, chaining 1, chaining 2. We're going to grab Orochi as well as Twin Shadow, then tribute off the Nibiru token for something we can actually use. Then we'll go into a copy of Berea Storm, chain block the effect with Feather Whirlwind to summon back Chinook, go for a copy of Ouster Mild, which we will now banish to place a wedge on the Nibiru. This part is completely optional. You don't need to do this. Then we'll special Orochi, make Onimaru, summon the Tax Dragon, set Twin Shadow, and pass. So this gives us, when we Twin Shadow into Full Armor Master, we're going to summon back the Berea Storm. This is just so we can get resources back into rotation. So this is 2 towers, a monster that can't be destroyed by card effects, a Tax Dragon, an Imperm, and a lot of recursion, which is the important part, as well as a layer of protection. And also we have the quick effect pop from Sharnga. So that's like pretty decent for a board that was built through Nibiru. You don't need the Onimaru. You can just, keep their Nibiru, which is fine too. I just like Onimaru because it's a third name that's a little sticky, and that gives us access to a lot. You could also, if you want to, use Onimaru to copy the level of Nuthon to go down to level 6 and synchro with Chinook to make a Draco Berserker. And then instead of summoning back Berea Storm, you can summon back the Chinook with Feather Whirlwind after Twin Shadow resolves. But I like doing this slightly more because I value the ability to recoup resources a little bit more. But if your priorities are different than mine, if you don't think this is a strong enough end board, you can very, very easily adjust accordingly. Again, it's all up to you. Sharnga is insane. I cannot wait for it. And I am going to be playing a lot more Blackwings in the near future than I thought I was going to be. Thank you, Konami, for finally importing my son.